If you're making more money than ever before, but you don't feel financially secure, fix this immediately. Because if you don't, you will eventually discover that making money and building wealth are two completely different skills. You see, most entrepreneurs think that their financial problems disappear once they start making more money, but they don't. In fact, some of the biggest financial mistakes happen right after success, right after the entrepreneur is making money. They start looking at the expensive car, the luxurious lifestyle, the bigger house, the bigger watch, more expensive clothes, ego purchases, and love impulsive purchases. And all this is happening to stay looking successful. And before they realize it, they are making six figures, multiple six figures, or even seven figures while building very little in actual wealth. In today's video, I'm actually going to show you the 100K mistake most entrepreneurs make while silently destroys wealth, freedom, and long-term financial security. I will even break down the lessons I learned the hard way about luxury, ego, financial maturity, and delayed gratification, so you can avoid making the same expensive mistakes that I made. By end of this video, you will understand the difference between looking wealthy and actually becoming wealthy. And stay until the end, because the final lesson that I will share with you is the one mistake I see entrepreneurs are making every single day that is costing them far more than just 100,000. One of the biggest misconceptions in business is this: making money equals financial intelligence. It doesn't. Making money is one skill, keeping your money is another skill, growing that money is another, and protecting the money is another. So the game of money is not how much money do you really make, it's how much money do you keep, and from the money that you keep, how much money can you make. That is the actual game. Usually we look at somebody and be like, wow, he's making a lot of money, he must be really intelligent. That's not intelligence to making money. The money have to be well kept, well managed, and it has to be well grown. The biggest thing that I have seen is somebody makes 1 million a month and people call him genius, but then what they don't see is that behind the scenes, he's only keeping 50,000 of that 1 million. And you may be asking, wow, like, how is that possible? Because there's too much overhead. The profit margins are so slim, like, it's crazy. But the truth is this: many people learn how to make money long before they learn how to actually manage it. I would put emphasis on manage it more than the actual making part, because I have made money and I have lost a lot of money. I know this because I lost over $100,000 that taught me lessons I probably never would learned any other way. And the interesting thing is this, that losing money wasn't the biggest problem itself. The thinking that caused me to lose it was the actual problem. And that's what I want to talk about today. So my lesson number one that I want to give you from losing 100,000 and making a lot of mistakes is this: money just magnifies who you already are. Most people think money changes people. It actually doesn't. Money just amplifies people. If you are disciplined before money, you will likely become more disciplined after money. If you are impulsive before money, you will become more impulsive after money. If your identity depends on external validation, money simply gives you more expensive ways to seek it. One of the biggest mistakes I made was believing income solved character flaws. It doesn't. Money doesn't solve your problems. Money only solves money problems. That's about it. And if you have character flaws, if you have discipline problems, if you have self-control problems, if you have temptation problems, then those are the things that money cannot fix. This is the biggest reason why you sometimes see even like people win lotteries, they become multimillionaires, and after a couple of years they go broke again, and they are ending up in worse debt than they were before they actually won the lottery itself. Why? Because it wasn't making the money the problem. The problem was managing it, keeping it, growing it. That was the main problem, right? So one of the biggest mistakes I made was believing that income will solve my character flaws. It doesn't. Money exposes them. So the business lesson I want you to learn from this is work on your character while building the actual business. It's important that you work on yourself while building the business, because if you just figure out the business part and you will never figure out how to work on your character, there will be a huge gap and there will be a huge problem. You need to outgrow the money you are currently making. When I say that again, so you need to outgrow the money that you're currently making. Why this is important? Why? So let's say you make 1 million, but you can't really maintain 1 million and you don't know how to manage the 1 million, that million will go down to the level you currently are. So if you're only good to manage 50K, that 1 million will go down to 50K really quickly. Why? Because your character is only at the level of 50K. Your character needs to outgrow the money that you currently are getting, because eventually the business will magnify who you are as an operator. Lesson number 2 that I learned. Luxury is really addictive. Nobody talks about this, but it's really addictive. And I mean it. Because luxury does a couple things for you. When you step into luxury and you start to go to really fancy restaurants, you start to buy really fancy things, people treat you very differently, and it's like kind of a different class. You're entering a different class. Because you have entered different class, you like the sense of it. You like the feel of it. You like how everything is playing out. People are treating you 10 times nicer than they would treat you in a normal restaurant. People pay more attention to you. People pay attention to detail. It's like you walk in expensive stores. They give you champagne. They give you things. They treat you like you are royalty. Okay? And that becomes really addictive, because when you go away from that, you kind of like, I'm not being treated like I was treated there, right? So luxury quietly resets your actual standards. The first time you buy something expensive, it feels incredible. The second time, it feels normal. The third time is expected. And then suddenly, what once felt like luxury feels like necessity. Okay? This is how lifestyle inflation happens. The dangerous part isn't the purchase. The dangerous part is the new baseline. It's like you set yourself on new standards. For example, one thing that I would say is, let's say you make some money and now you move in a really expensive neighborhood. You buy a very nice house, a couple 100,000, maybe even 1 million or 2. And now you need to maintain that lifestyle, because with the house you need the car, and with the car you need the watch, with the watch you need clothes, with the clothes you need certain things, and it just keeps going and going and going and going. And now suddenly your entire lifestyle is inflated just because you're trying to maintain the new standard. Okay? So the business lesson that I want you to learn is this. Most people don't get trapped by poverty. They get trapped by maintaining a lifestyle they cannot longer actually afford to maintain. It's like, oh, we eat, like for example, you make some money and suddenly you go out to restaurants every single day. You're going eating out in restaurants, buying expensive champagnes, you're buying expensive wines, you're eating really expensively out. And so suddenly this is your new standard. So now every time you're going for these dinners, for these lunches, for breakfasts out, you are drinking these expensive wines, and your bills every single day end up being 1,000, 2,000, 3,000, and you just keep spending because you eat 2 times out. Maybe you have somebody goes with you, maybe you have a business partner that goes, and you kind of are spending $400 to $500, sometimes even $700 on a bill per day. And suddenly that bill end of the week is ending up to a couple $1,000s. And so suddenly that becomes your new standard, because now you are doing this. And so people are making you feel really important as well, because once you're arriving at your restaurant, it's like, hey, Mr. XYZ, can we get your usual table as you usually get? So now you kind of used to that. You kind of need to show up, and you always need to be in that presence. You always need to set that standard. You always need to, because people are treating you in a certain way, so they're looking at you in a certain way, and you want to maintain that certain way. And that certain way is what's costing you a huge amount of money, just because you're looking for validation from others. And with the same time, you're also inflating your lifestyle, which sometimes you cannot longer afford, because then it's taking out from the business profits, you're taking out money from yourself, and you're no longer growing the money. Those couple $1,000s that a week you're spending on food, you could be actually using it to invest in making way more money, but you're not doing it because you need to look a certain way. You're attracted to luxury. Okay. Next one is ego, right? Lesson number 3, ego is really expensive. Many purchases are not financial decisions, they are emotional decisions. You buy the car, the watch, the apartment, the status symbol. Not because you need it, but because you want people to see you completely differently. I'm just going to put this emphasis on because you want people to see you differently. The problem is ego never gets satisfied. There's always someone richer, someone more successful, someone with bigger house, better car, bigger business, bigger bank account. And if your spending is tied to your identity, you will never feel wealthy. So the business lesson I want you to learn here is the need to appear successful often delays actual becoming successful. Let's move on to lesson number 4 is delayed gratification creates actual wealth. This may be the biggest lesson of all. Most people spend today's money. Wealthy people invest tomorrow's money. The ability to delay gratification is one of the greatest and strongest predictors of long-term actual success, not just financially, but in business and in actual health as well, and in the relationships as well. So every day you are making a trade. Your immediate pleasure, our future freedom, most people choose pleasure. Every day you are making a trade, guys, right? You can immediate pleasure or future freedom. You can choose either like, hey, let's just think about pleasure now, future later, or we think about future freedom now and let's just sacrifice the immediate pleasure. And most people would always choose the pleasure. It's like, let's just go for the pleasure now and the tomorrow will take care of itself. But it's not true. The people who build wealth choose freedom always. They choose tomorrow's freedom, not today's pleasure. So the business lesson that I want you to learn here is short-term sacrifices often create long-term actual options. Lesson number 5, cash flow creates confidence. One thing I learned is that confidence doesn't come from luxury. It comes from stability. Knowing your bills are covered, knowing the business is healthy, knowing you have reserves inside of your bank account, you have cash flow reserves, knowing you can survive setbacks. Many people chase appearances, but what they actually want is security. And I just want to kind of give you a bit of a story of mine over here is I was mostly chasing appearances. I wanted to appear really wealthy. I wanted to appear really rich. And so I stepped into certain places that I really couldn't afford, but I just stepped into them. I bought certain things that I shouldn't be buying. I bought, like, for example, expensive clothes, just because I wanted to fit in to a certain class. And with that being said, what ends up happening is we are chasing more appearance, but what we actually wanted is security. Because after losing money and not having enough money to pay the bills, not having enough things to pay, I suddenly asked myself a question, the appearance, what was it for? Like, because nobody saw me appearing rich and then somebody said, oh, I want to help you with your bills. No. When you have no money, none of those people are coming to actually help you. When you have problems, nobody's coming to help you. When you have relationship challenges, nobody's going to come to help you. When you have business challenges, nobody's coming to save you. Right? So why would we actually do it? This is the biggest thing that I see. This is the biggest problem, is that we are chasing certain appearance. We want to buy a certain car just so when we drive down a lot, people look at us. They say, wow, this guy's rich, he's lucky. We want that. But why we are doing it? Because the moment they look at your car, they take a picture, they go home and that's it. Hey, yeah, good car. But nobody even cares about you. So why would you care about looking in a certain way in front of somebody just to get a justification or validation from them? Okay? So the business lesson is this: a healthy bank account reduces stress more than almost any luxury purchase. You can go and purchase luxury watches and cars, but at the end of the day, what matters most is security or appearing rich. Because eventually, let's say you can't even afford to buy an expensive car, and you buy that expensive car, and say something goes south, something goes sideways, and now you need to sell that car. But if you had that money already and something went sideways, you already could help yourself to get back up because you had money sitting there. So this is what I mean when we are looking at luxuries and we are looking at cash flow. It's better to have cash in the bank rather than having luxury and then ending up selling that luxury in case we are in a really bad situation. Lesson number 6 is financial maturity is emotional maturity. This is a really important lesson here. This was a really hard lesson for me. Financial maturity isn't about spreadsheets, it's about emotional control. Can you actually say no? Can you wait? Can you resist impulses? Like, for example, one of my biggest things was I always go out, I get a coffee, I always have to buy something, I get some money, I have to be on Amazon, I have to be buying things, like always on impulsive buying. My biggest challenge was to say no. My biggest challenge was, can I actually wait? Can I wait 24 hours to make a decision afterwards? And this was really hard for me to learn, but this was so important. Because saying no is more important than just saying yes. Can you wait to actually make a purchase? Sometimes like, hey, I want this, I need this. Just give it 24 hours. And if in 24 hours after analyzing, you still feel like you need it, then, or you actually want it, then go back and get it. Number 3, can you resist impulses, right? That's a big one as well. Can you separate wants from needs? Can you make decisions based on logic instead of actual emotions? Most financial mistakes aren't mathematical mistakes, they are emotional mistakes. The business lesson I want you to learn here is master your emotions and your finances usually will improve. Emotional game is more important when it comes to actual money, because once you have money, you can spend it on everything. It's like the more money, if you are spending small money, when you have bigger money, you will spend bigger money on just bigger things. Lesson number 7, the goal is always freedom. At one point, I thought money was the goal. It's actually not. Freedom is the main goal. Money is simply one of the tools that helps you to create freedom. The ability to choose how you spend your time, who you spend your time with, what you work on, where you live, what opportunities you pursue. That's the real value of money. Many people sacrifice freedom trying to look actually wealthy. Looking wealthy still attaches you to everything else. So it's like you are on the treadmill, on the same treadmill, just going at faster speed. What you need to be doing, you need to be getting your money, creating wealth to have freedom. So that means you are on the same treadmill, now going actually slower. You control the pace. People usually, when they start buying luxuries, is somebody adjusts their actual speed. Now they have bills coming in and the treadmill starts to increase the speed. And there is no kind of reducing the speed because they don't control the speed. Their money is controlling their speed. Their luxuries are controlling the speed. Once you create wealth for freedom, you're in control of the speed. You can choose how fast you want to go because you have money. The smartest people use wealth to create more freedom. Business lesson is this: never confuse the tool with the actual outcome. Lesson number 8, the cost of impatience. Most financial mistakes happen because people want results too quickly. Too much spending, too much risk, too much expansion, too much lifestyle growth, not enough patience. The problem is that wealth compounds. It has compounding interest over long periods of time, but compounding requires time. So the business lesson here is this: the faster you want everything, the longer it often actually takes. Nothing happens overnight. Nothing will happen too quickly. It will take time. My real lesson is this: looking back at losing the 100,000 wasn't the most expensive part. The most expensive part was the mindset behind that actually caused to lose the $100,000. Because money can always be earned again, but if you don't fix the thinking, you will repeat the same mistake at larger actual scale. The lesson wasn't about the money, it was about maturity, discipline, patience, self-control, and understanding the wealth is built long before it actually appears. Before you leave, I want to give you something really special. It took me years of failures, mistakes, lessons, client work, and real-world experience to understand what actually builds a successful business. And no, not the theory type, not the social media advice, not some vague advice I got from a book, but real actual fundamentals. The things that create predictable growth, strong leadership, scalable systems, and long-term success. So I condensed everything into a single scaling actual roadmap. It shows you exactly what to focus on at every stage of growth, so you stop guessing and start building with actual clarity inside of your business. If you want it, click the Instagram link, it's down below in the description, and DM me the word roadmap, and I will send it to you over personally. And remember this: business don't grow because founders work really hard at it, or because you have to put in more hours. They grow because founders focus on the right things at the right time, at the right stage. See you in my next video.